an isolated incident that happened last night. What we can tell you is that a little bit after 5 p.m. yesterday, a little bit kind of close to 6, an individual that we've identified as Patrick Walker went to Mr. Stephen Griffith's residence with the intention of killing him. Mr. Walker went inside the residence and shot Mr. Griffith. At this time, there was another occupant in the residence who then ensued in a struggle with Mr. Walker. And after a long struggle, killed Mr. Walker. This is a subject that we've talked about many times. It's a subject that makes me angry to talk about, and that is mental illness. Through the investigation, our investigators have worked throughout the night and are continuing to work. What we have identified that in 1997, there was a case involving Mr. Walker, and for the last decade, he believed that the victim had a part to play in a case that he was involved in. We've identified that Mr. Walker had mental issues. Mr. Walker became infatuated with Mr. Griffith, even though they had no connection. There was no connection between the two. And yesterday, that mental illness led Mr. Walker to Mr. Griffith's residence, in which he took his life. One of the things I want to do is clear up a lot of rumors. This was not a murder for hire. This was a product of the failure of our society. This was a product of someone with mental illness not getting treated. This is an issue that we've talked about many times. It's an issue that makes me angry. It's an issue that law enforcement and the victims, our citizens, deal with every day. And it's an issue that we need to stand up as a community and fix. We've talked about it numerous times. We've all been here together. How many times have we talked about law enforcement being in standoffs, law enforcement being in shootouts with mentally ill, our citizens getting hurt? This is another prime example where we as a whole fail the system. The system is failing our citizens. There is one of the victims that is in the hospital currently. I'm going to ask that y'all will please show them some privacy. They're trying to heal after this event. I will take any questions or some questions that you have. But our hearts need to go out with the family over this incident.
Sheriff, you talked about mental illness, society failing in this case. What's the fix? How does this get repaired?
Well, anytime you have somebody that has mental illness, we have to have somewhere to have them treated. We have to have facilities for them to go to be treated. You know, today in society, outpatient is the best scenario that they can give someone. Well, outpatient doesn't work. You can't trust that person to take care of themselves. You can't trust that that person will take their medicine. You need long-term treatment for these individuals that face mental illness.
Sheriff, do you know whether Mr. Walker had received treatment for mental illness, either through the judicial system or otherwise?
With it being an ongoing investigation, I'm very limited, but I can tell you that he had been treated in the past, in the last 20 years, for mental difficulties. That's correct.
Sheriff, can you tell us, can you confirm how Mr. Walker was killed?
No, we're not going to get into the depths of the investigation, but one thing I can tell you that I will dispel the rumor that he was shot.
We're hearing he was cut with a flower pot or a broken plate. Can you confirm any of that?
No, just due to the nature of the crime and the victim.
Had he attempted to go to that house before ever formally met them, Mr. Walker?
We don't have any knowledge of that at this time. Like I said, it's still an ongoing investigation. Our investigators are still processing evidence to try to find more details to find out if that was the case and if they had any contact.
Can you tell us how he got in the house?
Just walked in residence.
Did he knock on the door and the victim?
Not too many details, but yes.
Who was the other person in the home?
We're not going to release those details for the family. And let me say this, Cullman County is a great community. We're a very tight-knit community. I have people come to my house every day. I know some I don't. Come up and say, hey, Sheriff, I need to talk to you. Can I talk to you? You know, we live in a community in Cullman County where we help each other. It's not uncommon for citizens in Cullman County to know that maybe somebody's an attorney, maybe somebody's in law enforcement. Hey, they come to your house to ask for help. That's not an uncommon practice in our community. We live in a great community where our main focus is to help each other.
So did he ask for help when he came to the house? Is that
No.
how he got in? Can you tell us what he said?
No.
You mentioned earlier that there had been at least an earlier prior connection between Mr. Griffith and Mr. Walker.
In the person's mental, in Mr. Walker's mental state, he believed there was a connection. There was not.
There was not.
Had he
No.
had legal issues though in the past or any run-ins with law enforcement? Or?
No.
Was he legally allowed to own a firearm?
Yes.
Should he have been?
You know, that's a question that, you know, if a bad guy wants a gun, a bad guy's gonna get a gun. Whether somebody can legally own or possess a firearm, I can go, if I'm a bad guy, I'll go on the street and get one.
What
So-
type of gun did he have?
It was a pistol.
Did he bring it to the Griffiths home?
That's correct.
And also, just, you know, I know that Mr. Griffith was an attorney, you were the sheriff, there's a relationship in law
That's right.
enforcement and justice, and, speak to him as, you know, as you knew him as a person. I know he was a very beloved member of this community.
Sure. I'm going on my 18th year in law enforcement. I have many friends. Steve Griffith is my friend. All right. Thank y'all.